I want to talk about Jussie Smollett because I said I would, and it's such a good story. So he is resurfacing, Stu, not content to have suffered utter humiliation on a national scale. And I told the audience this a week ago when we did Along Kelly's Court on what's about to happen. Netflix is coming out with a new, quote, documentary, which is more like a mockumentary. It's not a documentary. This sounds like utter bullshit what they're about to do, trying to rehabilitate Jussie Smollett. They say they're just going to reframe the story in a way that you can decide what's real. Okay, we've decided. We know he was prosecuted criminally. What he claims is that there's a videotape we've never seen before, Stu, that's going to show that he was telling the truth all along and that he actually discussed said videotape on the eve of his trial with his lawyers. But his lawyers said, oh, we've kind of already settled on our defense. We're not going to use that videotape. Okay. So they let him be tried and convicted, even though they had a silver bullet of a videotape showing he was telling the truth. So now he's out there again, and he's making these claims publicly. Hold on, let me just pull what he is saying so you can have the very, very latest. This is the headline in Variety. He slams Chicago PD, Rahm Emanuel, who was the mayor of Chicago at the time, as villains while denying that he committed a hate crime hoax and mounting a comeback. My story, he says, has never changed. Smollett names his, quote, villains as the two people who assaulted me. Do you mean the two men you paid to assault you, the Osandario brothers, Jussie, the Chicago Police Department, and if I may be so brave, the mayor, he says. He goes on to say, stand by, flipping the page here. Okay, this is from the Netflix documentary. When asked why this potentially exculpatory evidence did not surface earlier, quote, to be honest with you, I don't really know. I'm not an investigative reporter or a detective. I can't sit and tell you exactly beat by beat what happened. I can only tell you what did not happen. And what did not happen is the story that's been out there for almost 7 years, that somehow I would have even a reason to do something as egregious as this. Now, here is what actually happened per the two brothers who have gone on record with law enforcement and with the rest of the world as having been paid $3,500 by Jussie Smollett to attack him in this hoax. They're on record. Here they are in a Fox Nation documentary, which is a true documentary and literally one of the greatest things to ever hit the screen. Here it is.
We made sure we got there at 2 a.m. sharp.
On the dot.
On the dot. We had no phones because he did not want us to bring any phones. He said, so we don't lose them. I don't know if that's really the reason. We waited here for about, what, 4 minutes?
It was about 4 minutes,
4 minutes.
But it felt like forever.
Because it was cold as balls. As we crossed the street, we said, hey, to get his attention.
Hey, Nick.
Hey. He turned around, looked at us, and that's when we started yelling the famous slurs he wanted us to yell. Hey!
Aren't you that Empire?
Hey, it's MAGA country.
Yeah.
And then he said, what did you say to me? And then that's when I threw the first punch at him. I held the blow, because I didn't want to hurt him, of course, so I made it look real, but I held it. Then we started tussling, moving around, and then I threw him to the ground. He wanted it to look like he fought back. That was very important for him because he said, hey, don't just beat my ass, make it look like I'm fighting back and whatnot. So we did that, and then I threw him to the ground.
Long conversations.
And after I threw him to the ground, he had no bruise. I wanted it to look more real. So then I threw him to the ground. After I threw him to the ground, I used my knuckle and gave him a noogie.
That's where I came around with the bleach, the infamous bleach in the hot sauce bottle. Poured it on his shirt. Then I finally put the rope around his face. I did not put it around his neck. I just placed it on his face.
Okay, you get it.
And that's when we...
So, Stu Burguiere, why is Netflix allowing this nonsense?
I don't know. First of all, how have I never seen that special before? I have to go back and watch this. It's incredible. Yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't just these guys' word too, right? Like there was a lot of evidence in this case that showed that this is what happened. Yeah, like why would he be writing a check to his own attackers? It's very, very strange. And why would he be out having a Subway sandwich in the middle of the very, very cold night at 2 a.m? Who knows? I suppose Subway, they've got an attack on an officer. They've got the Jussie Smollett thing coming back. I suppose Subway is saying, at least they're not talking about Jared anymore. We at least have that going for us.
Let's not forget the most infamous crime associated with anybody touching Subway. We don't even want to go there. Stu Burguiere, I can't wait for the documentary to come out because I'm sure we're going to have a lot to say, as we have with you today. So what do we think the effect of the sparring between President Donald Trump and the Fed is going to be? Can the Fed take the right action at the right time? Do we trust in that? Or are we going to be looking at a potential economic slowdown as they slow roll any of their moves as they worry about his tariffs? And what exactly does all of this mean for your savings? You might want to consider diversifying right about now with gold through Birch Gold Group. For decades, gold has been viewed as a safe haven in times of economic stagnation, global uncertainty, and high inflation. And Birch Gold makes it incredibly easy for you to diversify some of your savings into gold. If you have an IRA or old 401k, you can convert that into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or just buy some gold to keep it in your safe. First, get educated. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. Just text MK to the number 989898. Again, text MK to 989898, and you'll start the process of just getting the 411 on what it means to own gold. Consider diversifying a portion of your savings into gold. So if the Fed cannot stay ahead of the curve for the country, at least you can stay ahead of the curve for yourself. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.